hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening. Good, merry, happy Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve. Because that's when we're recording. And welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. I should get that out of the way before we do anything else. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes, and yes, we're here, hanging around here tonight on the eve before Christmas Eve to talk about professional wrestling right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, because yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm recording live on December 23rd, 2021. It's almost done. The year is almost done, and we are just about ready to hop into all the great festiveness, the absolute 100% levels of festivityness that the world is going to fall under. I don't know what I'm talking about, because look, it's going to be Christmas. Christmas is just about here, and I'm excited, and I hope y'all are excited too. And I hope you're excited to talk about pro wrestling tonight. Because hey, you know what? I am yeah. Like overall, here's what the thing is. I got a good show. I got a fun show prepared tonight. I'm really excited for that. And I hope you guys are ready. I hope you guys are ready for this, because there's just a lot of good stuff. But I want to thank you all first and foremost for joining me here live on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. And we've got people here hanging out, chilling, enjoying a good time here on the Discord. We've got Kelly Tonja, as she usually is. Nice to see you, Kelly. We've got Tim Traver, who's changed his display name to the Diecast Collective. Still, nice to see you, Tim. Good to see you as well. We got Robert Larry here as well. Look at that. We've got Justin Firestein. Mr. Fretz is here too. We've got the crowd here hanging out, like I said, on Christmas Eve, and I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for that, and I hope you guys are too. I hope you guys are ready to. I hope you guys are ready for that as well, because it's going to be a good one. Of course, per usual, right? I want you to do all the usual things that I asked you to do. I want you to go check out belltobells.com. That's your women's wrestling wire, of course. BELLTOBELLES.com. Our YouTube station. That's what we do. That's how we call them now. Stations. youtube.com/belltobells is our YouTube channel, right? So don't worry. We've also have our Twitter account as well. Why am I so I don't know why I'm trying to focus here. I'm trying to get into it. There's something going on. I'm like, why am I so, I feel floaty. Maybe it's the holiday spirit that's overcoming me. No, but that's a silly thing to say. That has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with that kind of stuff. I don't know. Well, the focus is coming. We're gonna get into. And I apologize if I seem a little diffused. We'll get into it. It'll be okay. But yeah, Bell to Bells, all of that of course is going to be fantastic. Then of course, hey, I'm. You know what? There's a pay-per-view coming up for the World Wrestling Entertainment Company. It's called Day One, that they're doing on January 1st. You get it? It's like, on the first day of the year, Day One, and they're planning things around it. I don't know if you heard about that. So if you want to, right? If you want to learn more about it, to maybe get to hear my thoughts on, I'll be doing a pay-per-view prediction show for that one. Over the course of next week. I don't know exactly when, but keep your eyes peeled. I'll have a guess and all that good stuff. That's coming up. And of course, there's Wrestle Kingdom coming up. over the course of, well, not next week, but the week after. So that's coming up very, very shortly. And I'm going to be doing post-stream reviews for both nights 1 and 2 and for the New Japan Noah show on January 8 as well. So if you're not a subscriber to the Mr. Warren Hayes show channel yet, I think this is a good time for you to do it. I think it is a very, very good time to jump on board and get that out of the way. I really do. So please take the time to do it. And you'll get all this great content coming at you. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, lots of pay-per-view stuff coming up. I'm excited about it. We're going to have a great January. January is just going to be great for wrestling. It is going to be extraordinary for wrestling. I'm really, really excited for it. And I'm also excited for my Discord. That's always there. You should join it. The link is in the description and whatnot. So please go right ahead and check that out. Join the community. Come talk about wrestling 24 hours a day. There's always people there. We got time zones. We've got people who just, seem to thrive at night. There's always someone talking about wrestling in the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. So go check it. Go check that out. And you can also check out the post stream, which of course happens for members only. Members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel, I do dare mention. So if you become a member of the channel, you can come immediately and join us after. And after tonight, well, I sort of hyped it. Tonight we're on the mainstream. I'm talking about I'm going to be pulling up my naughty and nice list of 2021. So I'm going to head on over to the patrons after this with the members. There's some jargon I haven't used in a while. And they're going to be telling me who do they think should be who is on their naughty and nice list, basically. So I want to hear from you guys. So if you become a member, come on over. Let's chat. We'll talk. You can go through it. We take Discord calls when we do it. If you don't want to talk, that's fine. You can join us in the chat as well, the Discord chat, the live YouTube chat. Look, it's a good time, and it's a good way to show support for the show as well. And you can also show some support by dropping a super chat, and I will read your question or comment live and on the air. But you can also, leave a like on this video. That's a great way to show some support. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, you can also leave some support there as well by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. And you can do that. Apparently, some people have that option on Spotify as well. So you can check that out. And you know what else? Here's something interesting about Spotify and podcasts. I discovered last week that you can upload video podcasts to Spotify as well. So from this point forward, if your podcast platform of choice is Spotify, then you will also have access to this video here. You will also have the video version of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, so you can actually switch between audio and not audio. You can do both. So isn't that great? I think it's great. But that's only available on Spotify, so you have to check that out over on that platform. Yeah, there we go. I think I've run through everything here. Want to say hello to some new people who have joined the chat since I started stumbling through my opener here. Look at it. We've got Evan Wright, who's joined us. Nice to see you, Evan. Good to see you. We got the Bob Culture Podcast. How you doing, Bob? And wishing me a Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas to you as well, friend. Tony from the Get the Tables Podcast as well. Nice to see you. Have a great Christmas as you as well, sir. DGMC is here as well. Nice to see you. And have a Merry Christmas, everyone. And I hope, like, at least starting tonight, we'll have a good time tonight, and this will kick off your holidays proper. And I really hope that's good. I really hope that's good for you, because that's always excellent. there's, and I hope your holidays are good, that you can take the time to, see your loved ones, family, friends, because friends can be loved ones, and I think it's important, to connect and see as many people as you can. Try to stay as safe as possible. We're still stuck in this pandemic era, and that really stinks. That's always, but as long as you stay safe, that's important. But I also want to say, I also know that this time of year can be hard for a lot of people for a whole bunch of different reasons, right? It's usually a time where a lot of people are very, very, merry, for lack of a better word, but it's also difficult for some people. And if you're finding yourself to be not in a good frame of mind, if you're feeling low, isolated, alone, let's just go right out and say it, depressed, please get in contact with some local services. In Canada, you can reach out to the Canadian Crisis Hotline at 888-353-2273. In the United States, you can contact the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, their national helpline, at 1-800-662-4357, 4357, excuse me. 1-800-662-4357. I'll put those contacts in the description for the podcast, just in case you need them. Always reach out to someone. And you know what? If anything, my DMs are there. Feel free to jump in. If you need just someone to talk to at all, I can understand how it can be rough for some people this time of year as well. So we got to look out for each other, and please look after yourselves first and foremost. Now, before we go and actually jump into the weekly wrestling inspection, we unfortunately have to start the show with another death within the world of wrestling. Michael James Penzel, best known to the wrestling community, the world of wrestling, as Corporal Kirchner in the WWF, has passed away at the age of 64. It was reported that Kirchner had passed away in his home in North Carolina. Kirchner had started his career in the 1980s. He had trained under Vern Gagne and had started working in the WWF as a prelim guy. He then adopted the name Corporal Kirchner, which highlighted, as it's pointed out here in the Observer, highlighting his experience as a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division of the United States Army. He had feuds with Nikolai Volkov because, of course, who else is a good American soldier going to feud with other than a Russian, of course? But that even led to a match at WrestleMania 2, a flag match between he and Volkov. He left the WWF in 1987, had a tour of New Japan, then adopted a new gimmick, the one of Leatherface, yes, it's the Leatherface you'd think of, an adaptation of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre character. And he would wrestle under that gimmick for FMA right until 2002, when FMW, FMW shut down in 2002. And Leatherface, Super Leatherface. I'm not sure what the difference was between the two, but yeah. Fun. Here's a funny anecdote. Again, it's pointed out in the Observer, and I kind of remember this back in 2006. WWE.com had reported that Kirchner had died. Kirchner, sort of, has caused a stir. People started calling him, calling his family, and was like, "No, I'm alive." He called WWE to say, "I don't know where you got your report, friends, but I'm still here. We're good." But I as a kid, I remember watching Corporal Kirchner. I remember his time in the WWF. Definitely not as familiar with his FMW stuff, but I do remember him, younger and sort of being into him, very athletic, fast, not as beefy, as huge as a lot of the guys were on the roster at the time. A little faster, a little quicker. I liked them. I remember, as a young Hayes lad, I connected with Corporal Kirchner. So may he rest in peace. Our condolences to everyone who survives him. 64 years old, Corporal Kirchner. Okay, well, let's see over here. I think we're going to get this started for real this time. Well, I mean, it's not as if I tried to get it going. No, anyway. Here we go. It's time for the Weekly Wrestling Inspection. Okay, folks. First and foremost, I want to underscore here some very good news, because it's good to have good news, right? Jim Ross apparently was announced on Dynamite last night that he was going to be returning to commentary next Wednesday, and that's fantastic news. It's just plain old simple fantastic news. That his he got through his treatments, rough stuff, and he documented it on social media, like not easy stuff, and he's already willing and able to get back into the seat, get back into the swing of things, and I can appreciate that, and I'm happy. Do you congratulate someone? I don't think congratulations are the exact same. I don't think it's the good way to go about it. But I'm glad he's coming back. And look, my thoughts on Jim Ross as a commentator these days are no secret to anyone who listens to the Mr. Warren Hayes show, of course, right? That's not a big, it's, you guys know, but outside of that, despite that doesn't change the fact that, I appreciate the man, appreciate his body of work. And on top of that, I'm glad that he was able to push through this. Hopefully the treatments are going to work out. I'm glad he's feeling well enough to get back into the swing of things. And that's really all that matters. I'm glad that Jim Ross is feeling healthy and able enough to get back into the swing of things. That is some fantastic news to kick things off. So that's cool. That's cool. And I'm very, very happy to have learned about that. Tony Khan gave us some news on the AEW Battle of the Belts show that's coming up in a couple of weeks. I got a quote here when he was on the Culture State podcast. And listen to this quote here. He says, it's a 1-hour event, so I can't put every belt on the line. But it's a great chance on a Saturday night to expand the reach of AEW by giving the fans great championship matches on a Saturday night, which is a night that, people love watching wrestling from our whole lives, that you can build an audience, especially for a big event. So there's going to be big championship matches I'm very excited about. I'm glad Tony Khan is excited that his Battle of the Belts is going to be a 1-hour show. I'm a little lukewarm at it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oh, it's kind of a bummer. I was really expecting something maybe with a little more panache. It's like, yeah, it's a 1-hour show. It'll be fine. I'm just a little underwhelmed at the idea of, it's like, all the belt. Look, I know they didn't announce it. I know they didn't say straight off the bat, Battle of the Belts, all the titles are going to be defended. Like, every one of us were making parallels with Clash of Champions, right? So I understand, I maybe created an expectation for myself. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, oh, this is going to be cool. It's going to be like, but it's not going to be like Clash of Champions. It's going to be an hour show. There's going to be 2 title defenses, I guess. Maybe 3. If you put more than 2, you start telegraphing, right? A little. Anyway, Probably, look, we know the world title's not going to be defended. At least we're pretty sure. And then what's left then? You have the TNT title. The Women's World. And then the World Tag Team titles. You could throw in the FTW title if you really wanted to. Despite the fact that I don't think it's still like officially recognized by AEW. Right? Like it's not up on the what if we AEW wrestling. Like if we go on the roster page on the official site. Yeah, see the champions is just world champion, women's world, TNT champion, world tag champions. There's no the FTW title isn't exactly that yet. It's Ricky Starks has his picture with the FTW title on his shoulder, mind you. But hey, we'll see what happens, right? We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's not that I'm going around stomping my feet and saying this is gonna suck. Absolutely not. Like I was really expecting like a big super card, but we're gonna do an hour show, and I'm fine with the hour show. I still enjoy Rampage a ton. Nice little package, nice little 1 hour show that's in and out. What? And you gobble that 1 hour up, and then you hit the bricks, and it's a good listen, But as it stands, I'm like, oh well, all right. An hour show. Be a couple of titles. There'll be a smattering of titles. That's fine. Now I do want to do my naughty and nice list, because that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm doing my naughty and nice list. But before I get into it, I always like to talk about I always like to talk about Dynamite. But just before I do talk about Dynamite, I want to just a quick note on Raw this week. An episode of Raw is bad when the usual defenders are out into the internetverse saying how rough of a watch it was, saying how WWE needs better creative, so on and so forth. And it wasn't a great show, but there was one standout. There's one standout moment on the show, which was comprised of Bianca Belair and Doudrop, who had, I guess, the blow off of their feud. I guess that's how you'd approach it, which was fine, and I thought it was very good. I think they're doing a decent job at rebuilding. I think this feud did a decent job of giving Bianca some prestige back, while also establishing Doudrop as a it's hard to say a threat, but as a player. And outside of the goofy, finger twiddling, I don't know what this was supposed to be, going into the audience and going, hey, why don't you twiddle my fingers? I don't know what that was about. I don't know. But they're letting her be, they're letting her come across a lot more like Piper Niven or Viper, as she was before getting signed to NXT UK, with the leather jacket, just coming in and beating fools up. That's what she was about, just having a chip on her shoulder, an attitude, coming in, kicking ass. And they seem to be letting her stretch her legs a little more on that level, instead of trying to be this flowery, happy baby face. And I'm not gonna lie, that pleases me, because I love Piper Niven. I love Viper. I think she's great. As you can see, I still have trouble consolidating her name in my mind. And if anything, this would be the perfect moment for her to be like, hey, you know what? You know, I was paired with this weirdo when I came in who gave me this name, and I don't want to bear this anymore. This is not mine to carry anymore. I'm hitting the bricks. I'd be like, fantastic, do it. You know, it's like, and bring back Piper Niven. Like, I know they won't use Viper because Randy Orton is the Viper, right? And you know how WWE is with names, right? But the look, I thought this was a good setup for both women. Where I have a little trouble I'm having trouble keeping the faith, right, is in the direction for Piper Niven moving forward, because there is no real advancement. There's it's difficult for the mid card in WWE to progress because everything seems to happen up on these upper echelons with the top people, and everyone else sort of flounders around. Look, they had the World Tag Team Champions. I know it's not world, just the WWE Tag Team Champions, because the WWE, they don't call them World Championships. Because WWE is bigger than the world. You don't want to win a world championship. You want to win a WWE championship, right? Don't forget that. So apologies for saying the world tag champions when I dragging them down to some base level. I apologize profusely. The WWE titles, the WWE women's tag team champions, were in like a 3-minute match again this week. Like that doesn't serve anything. There's no real storyline advancement. There's no one who learns anything in a ring in a 3-minute match. And it's hard to care when these things happen because you're like, oh, it's so in and out. You know, you're just like, so I can't say that I'm entirely confident in Doudrop moving forward, despite the fact that I find she's in a much better place now than she has been since being called up to Raw. Absolutely. Like, if I were the committee that books, as opposed to the booking committee, right? I would absolutely put her in squash matches. I'd have her just come in, destroy some fools, not unlike Wardlow in AEW right now. That's what I'd have her do. And it's not as if WWE doesn't have the people that they could just bring in from Orlando and do it. You know, they do. They could absolutely do it. They need to capitalize on this now, right? They're clearly moving Bianca back into a title picture, and I think this was handled pretty well. I think her non, I think she took too many losses to too many big names at some point, and I still think that was not good. I don't think it was a good way to go about it. There was no reason to cool the woman down, you know. But I think that what they did with her here is good. I think it makes a lot of sense. And it has helped build her back up. And I mean, look, the visual of her carrying the huge frame of Doudrop on her shoulders and then just, you know, hitting the KOD is pretty impressive. Because, you know, yes, you saw it, right? Doudrop helped, assisted Bianca in picking her up, you know, putting her feet on the rope and whatnot. But I mean, Bianca still then has to carry her and then do the KOD flip. And I mean, it's an impressive move no matter where no matter how you flex it. And then someone on Twitter reminded me of when Bianca was carrying friggin' Otis on her back in that one angle, that one time. You know, obstacle course, that weird bullshit. But it was still an impressive feat of strength, and I thought that was great. So I'm confident for Bianca because I do believe WWE sees the value in Bianca. I don't think they should cool her down any more than she is now. I think they got to make her hotter and hotter. And I think that they should do the same for Doudrop, but on a mid-card level, and heat her up so that when Bianca inevitably wins a women's title again, in this case probably the Raw women's title, they have a contender that they've been heating up for her instead of just doing like they're doing with Liv Morgan, being like, okay, it's your turn, plop, where Liv has been zero built to be in this spot. And now they're running now this is, I'm doing a sidebar here, but they're running this match again on day one, if I'm not mistaken, right, chat? Let me just run over to WWE.com real quick. But that's what I think, right? It's we're day one. I think that's what they announced. Yeah, they're running Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan again at day one. And frankly, I don't understand why they're doing it. I don't understand why they're doing it. I mean, Liv lost a couple of weeks ago on Raw, and it was, like I said during the last podcast, it was not a good match. Like, we can't sit around and pretend that it was a good match. It wasn't. And then we're gonna run it again. She's not anymore. She's not anymore exciting. She hasn't built. It's not as if there's suddenly this groundswell of excitement for Liv Morgan. She just lost. I don't know, man. It's not clicking for me. But that was a sidebar. I'm still excited. Like I can't even say cautiously optimistic. It's like I'm expecting the worst for Piper Niven moving forward. Like I'm curious to see how they're going to capitalize on this. Can't be any worse than running around for the 24/7 title, right? Congratulations, by the way, Dana. I'm sure you look at your very, very meaningful title win. Want to say hello to Chris Jacobs. Nice to see you, Chris. Welcome to the chat. Should we talk about that? Should we talk about... All right, look, just before we jump into Dynamite, thank you, Evan. We if you can all blame Evan Wright for this. But the thing that was aired on that they put on social media, where Liv took a bus or flew to Iowa to how did she explain it on Raw to Becky and Seth's super secret gym or some kind of shit like that, whatever. And she walks in and she starts caning. There's two people in the ring. One of them's a redhead, and the redhead's hair is all over her face, and they're grappling. So Liv gets into the ring. She has a kendo stick and she starts wailing on the redhead. But the redhead is not Becky Lynch as she thought. It's a jabron. And then she's sort of standing there, and then all of a sudden Becky Lynch appears. So my theory right now is that Becky Lynch is going to be the Fiend, because clearly she has teleportations, and she just casually takes the kendo stick away, and then they start. I don't know what this was. I have no idea what this bullshit was. But the word that just came out of my mouth should be exactly what it was. And you see it on social media and you cringe. You go, come on. But then Liv Morgan cuts a promo on Raw this week and then she says, you know what I did this week? I went to Iowa. And I was like, no, they're gonna broadcast that shit on TV. My main problem with it was how edited it was. It was like you were watching a television show. You come in first person view and then it cuts to people around the ring, cuts to people into the ring, cuts to people outside of the ring. And then you see Liv coming in and you're like, who's filming this? Who put this together? Who's filming this? If this was supposed to be a surprise attack, did Liv order like a 3-man camera crew with a sound guy, and a grip and, a cinematographer and a director? Like, did she arrive? Did she send an 8 to 10 man person crew ahead of when she arrived to get all set up and start taking shots? Well, here's the thing, because the question just popped into the chat. How did Becky know she was going to be there? Well, listen here, pal. If I see an 8 to 10 person crew setting up in my gym, I'm asking questions. I'm going, hey fellas, why are you here? Oh, we are supposed to film a surprise attack from Liv Morgan on Becky Lynch. Oh, I'm Becky Lynch. Oh, oops. Maybe I should not have told you. So that's the only piece of logic that could come out of all of this as to why Becky knew Liv was coming for her, because the fucking camera crew had to set up. That is, set up the lighting and the rigging and all that shit. That's the only thing. This was bad. And you know what it made me think? It made me realize, guys and gals, non-binary pals, this is the thing that dawned on me. We are never really going to get rid of cinematic matches. They're here to stay. I hope you realize that. Because that's exactly what we got here, was a little cinematic experience. Because WWE, they do TV shows. They don't do this base product called wrestling. No, they do TV. They do television. Cinematic experiences where you get immersed in them. That was bad. I'm telling you, this. Anyway, like it's always a thing that I feel that they try too hard. They try too hard to get people over when it should be simpler. If they wanted to heat up Liv Morgan to make her a threat to Becky, have her fight, have her win matches, have her have moments, like instead of robbing her of a potentially interesting moment at Survivor Series, just let her get the heat by being a babyface that you can cheer for, and you can cheer easily for Liv. I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. Liv is a natural babyface. She's a natural babyface, and I don't know why they don't lean into it more. Anyway, boo. Let's talk about Dynamite. The match that opened up the festivities last night was Adam Cole. He defeated Orange Cassidy in a culmination of a long-standing rivalry between the two. Not quite since Adam Cole has been here, but I like this dynamic, with the Chaos best friends and, Adam Cole and the Elite, or his whatever Adam Cole is doing right now, right? Well, here, I thought the match was fine. Like, I thought it was fine. Had a good build-up. I really liked, from the half point on, I thought it really hit a second gear. and it maintained throughout. I thought it was really good. You have Orange Cassidy mounting a comeback. Ducks the running knee, hits a beach break, which was cool. And he's getting ready to do an orange punch on Adam Cole. You have Bobby Fish run to the ring to distract the ref. And as the ref is distracted, guess what happens? Guess who appears? Guess who runs out of nowhere? I'm not gonna admit we knew it was coming. We had the close-up of Orange Cassidy on his face, and you could see the audience going, That's right. We got Kyle O'Reilly running to the ring, beats the hell out of Orange Cassidy. Cole hits the running knee. Does he call it the last shot still? Is it still that? Because that over the knee neck breaker that he does, is that for a while used to be the last shot. Then when he went to NXT, the running knee was the last shot. He calls it the boom now. Okay. See, I'm confused. I get confused. When I don't take my medicine, I get confused. So basically, he's in the ring and he exchanges some words with Kyle O'Reilly, right? He's sort of like they're jawing at each other. You're not quite sure how friendly they are, but all three of them stand in the ring. Three meaning him, him being Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. Crowd's going nuts. You have the Young Bucks who come out. And they hit the ring, and clearly there is some confusion. They get into the ring, and clearly there is some confusion because he's like, wait a second, what's this all about, And Adam Cole is sort of divided. He's sort of like, well, it's cool, boys, it's cool. You can tell that there's a little something going on. You can tell, that Adam Cole is sort of thinking to himself, he's going, hey, you know what? These two guys here, Fish and O'Reilly, they never tried to poison me. I'm just putting that out there. So there's definitely a little something going off. There's a massive seed that's just been planted here. We'll see how this develops. Let's get into some talking points. Kyle O'Reilly is in All Elite Wrestling now. They pulled out the graphic. He's there. He's been signed, which was expected. I think you would have had to be the most diehard of NXT/WWE fans to be like, no, Kyle will come back. And Kyle was gone. And you can't blame Kyle O'Reilly for leaving NXT because the current iteration of NXT right now has zero place for him. There is no room for a guy like Kyle O'Reilly in whatever it is they're doing right now with NXT 2.0. He gave Von Wagner the rub. I mean, that was the thing. Because look, they tried to get Kyle over before the transition, and it was a tough one. It was a hard one. I don't think they had found the exact right combination. The cool guy Kyle stuff wasn't exactly it. There was no room for him in NXT, and there was no room for him on main roster either. He just not as a wrestler, not as a star. He would have been, used as enhancement talent. Let's be honest with each other, right? And I'm sorry, if you're a part of the crew that was like Kyle O'Reilly should have never left. There was nothing left for Kyle in the WWE environment in which it is right now and how we're seeing things developing. No spot for him. outside of enhancement talent. And a guy like Kyle O'Reilly doesn't want to be enhancement talent. I'll even go as far as to say, it's not as if I know him, but he gives off that vibe, right? And I'll go as far as to say, I'll push this just a little further. There is no, us as fans should not expect Kyle O'Reilly to be an enhancement talent either. He is too talented, too seasoned, a professional wrestler to be like, well, I just gotta hang around and I'll do stuff, and creative at some point will tell me they've got nothing for me, right? So there's no reason to do that. There was no reason for him to stay. So the departure was inevitable, and him hooking back up with his pals was also, I think, written in the stars. Now again, here's the other thing. I will appreciate people who make the argument that, hang on, I want to make sure I get this. Okay, I don't understand people. Let's put it this way. I don't understand people who call him a WWE guy who's going to AEW. Kyle was there for what, 4 or 5 years? A guy that was trained on the indies in Japan, wherever. Like, he never really needed WWE to expand as a wrestler. But I will appreciate arguments saying that he came to prominence alongside Adam Cole and Bobby Fish within NXT. I can buy that argument 100%. WWE is a much larger fan base, especially at the time. No competition, much larger fan base. The matches they put on were critically acclaimed, of course, because they were wrestling during one of the boom periods, the period of the great takeovers. So, it's like not hard to be like, well, that's where he really came to prominence. And I would have to agree with that in a mainstream sense. But if you even remotely followed anything that was happening outside of the WWE bubble, you knew of Kyle O'Reilly. You knew he was a great wrestler. And you probably cringed when he ended up in WWE because we're like, they're going to ruin him. Turns out, well, they didn't ruin him because he was in the right spot. He was in NXT. That's where he needed to be. The Indie Super Show, NXT. So I can't get, I don't understand. I don't understand how anyone can claim Kyle O'Reilly is a WWE product. I think the visual of the Undisputed Era is and their prominence in NXT makes for makes me understand why people would think that, but it's like that, that small brain, medium brain, galaxy brain meme, right? It's like if you knew about Kyle O'Reilly in Ring of Honor, if you knew about Kyle O'Reilly's legendary battles with Kushida in New Japan, then none of this is a real surprise to you. And a lot of these arguments come from people who are very much attached to WWE and still believe that WWE is the end game. And it's going to take a while to break that cycle because WWE has been the end game for 20 years, and that's a whole life cycle. That's a whole childhood into adulthood deal for a whole bunch of current fans who have never seen any competition, who've never seen anything outside the bubble, and who've only heard the stories of the Monday Night Wars and the days in the territories and so on and so forth. So for me, seeing wrestlers move from place to place, it's not a question of loyalty. It's about the talent doing what's best for them and for their career and what they want to do. And I think that's where you should be supportive. I can't tell you enough. Don't support companies. Don't support companies ever. Don't support WWE. Don't support AEW. Support the talent they hire. That's what you should be focused on. That's why you tune in mostly. I know that's why a lot of people are still attached to WWE despite the garbage booking. It's because of the talent that they have. And I can get behind that. I can understand that. But never mind this loyalty stuff. Never mind. Support talent for what they do in their endeavors that they embark upon. I hope nothing but success for Kyle O'Reilly and AEW and whatever other doors that might open as well. Because that's the thing, is that then you can start seeing Kyle O'Reilly maybe move around the checkerboard a little bit and go past through that forbidden door to other places as well. The problem that we encounter with people being very, very mad about it is exactly what I was talking about, is this idea that your home promotion is your home promotion and you're being disloyal, and that's just weird to me. They're independent contractors. Even on the other side, they're still independent contractors. They should be making moves to better their career. They should have possibilities to go wrestle in other places. That's why competition is so good, because it's good for the talent first and foremost. And it's the same reason why I can't be mad at Kevin Owens either. Kevin Owens did what was best for him, for his family, for his setup. Good for him. Like, if he's happy in this, that's all that matters, really. My entitlement as a fan is secondary. You know, if I wanted to see him go have nostalgia fights with the Bucks and Adam Cole and AEW, that's on me. Ultimately, that's what Kevin Owens has to do. Kyle O'Reilly, who cares about the promotions? Like, ultimately, who cares? It's really about the talent. Cape for the talent, goddammit. They deserve it. DJMC is a member of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel for 20 months. That's almost 2 years, if my math is correct. And he says, and thank you very much, by the way. I appreciated your support for those 20 months. He says, hoping to see the return of Sleazy Kyle in AEW. Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Do you think that would lead to another fight with Adam Cole? I don't know if I want to see another fight with Adam Cole, though. Because I don't have any real memory. Everyone keeps telling me there's that one Kyle O'Reilly Adam Cole match, but everything else is like they've never been great, you know? Anyway. Heather, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. And we had another. Well, let's talk about the main event straight off the bat. CM Punk, Sting, and Darby Allin versus MJF and FTR. Wasn't this just lovely? A fun, nice main event that propulsed, that kept a feud going and just gave people live in the audience something exciting to see. I loved this. I thought it was, I loved MJF, avoiding CM Punk at all costs. And which is what you should do when you're building a big time main event and you want to make it feel special. Don't let the guys touch each other and let the heel be, not all the time, but in MJF's case here, it works well. Let him be a chicken shit. Let him run. Let him flee from CM Punk. That's what you should do. And I know there's going to be people right now who are going to roll their eyes at what I'm about to say here. But there is no amount of 10, 15-minute promos that will get me more invested in a feud than stuff happening in a match like this, where I'm like, look at MJF, this son of a bitch. That to me is worth 10-minute promos. Because now I'm like, now I want him to kick his ass. Everything else is entertainment, it's rhetoric, but here, he's like, and you want CM Punk to get his hands on him. You want to, but he, slimy little bastard is always getting away. I love it. in-ring storytelling, folks. That's the money. That's the money there. There's you know, good old-fashioned stuff. And they were calling themselves MJFTR. Perfect for the evening. They were cutting off Darby from the friendly side and Sting as well. And Sting, look, I don't care what anyone says. You complain when Goldberg comes back. You complain when the old guys come back in WWE, but you're excited about Sting. Yeah! Because none of them do what Sting does. And they're not pushing Sting into title matches, into high-profile situations. Sting is having a nice upper mid-card feud with with FTR and all sorts of different people since he's been there, most of the time in tag situations. And you know what? That's probably all he needs. And you know what? As a fan, that's all I want to see. I want to see Sting come in, do some... I've said this before. I'd be content if all he did was come in and did the death drop, did the splash, did the death lock, and like doing the hits, doing one of these and moving on, no selling a couple of chops. I'd be like, yeah, Sting, man. And I'd be happy and you move on. But no, now we have Sting, Steve Borden, 63 years old, fucking jumping off, doing cross-body splashes off the top rope to the fucking floor. There is no, do you understand? Like, there is no reason for him to be doing these things, but there he is doing it. Does that register? Does that mean something? Like, because there's no reason for him to do that. But he's doing it out of the love of what he does. And if he wouldn't be able to do it, he'd probably say to, you know what, I'm not going to do it. And they're probably all talking to, amongst each other, trying to set the stuff up. And he's talking to the producer and he's like, I want to do a top rope splash. Everyone's like, you're nuts, man. So no, I'll do it. And it adds to the drama of stuff. Because everyone knows how old he is. Everyone knows, about the fucking injuries that kept him out of wrestling, and so on. We know about all of this, so when we see him doing this cool shit, and we're excited for him. You have the other guy who you can barely do a jackhammer anymore. Then why are you doing it? Borden loves what he does. He just loves it. So unless you bring old timers back into these types of situations where, again, you just play off their strengths, play off their capabilities, and not try to pass them off as something they're not, which is what they're trying to do with Goldberg all the time. Trying to pass Goldberg off as if he's still like in his late 20s. They're not trying to pass Sting off as a young, spry athlete. So that's why when he delivers this kind of shit, we lose our minds, and we're like, because he's over-delivering. He's going above and beyond our expectations. And then on top of that, the Greensboro crowd was into it. And Greensboro, as you know, right, Greensboro is a significant place for, that was hard for nothing. Is very significant for Sting, because he's had multiple big time matches there, including his famous 45-minute draw with Ric Flair for the NWA title. What was it, 98? At the first Clash of the Champions, right? Yeah, that's it. 1998 Clash of the Champions, 45-minute draw with Ric Flair. That was a star-making performance for him. So going back to Greensboro is a big deal for him. On top of that, it's a big deal for the audience who are there, too. Great ending, too, where Dax sacrifices himself for MJF. Eats a GTS from Punk, Scorpion Death Drop from Sting, and a Coffin Drop from Darby. Great stuff. Send the home crowd happy. And you still want to see CM Punk kick the shit out of MJF more than ever. More than any back and forth promo work that they can do on each other and try to, it's like, you were on Rosie O'Donnell. You wrote shitty comic books. Like, all right, we're good now. We're sort of past that now. I liked it, though. I want to say hello to El Gato Pollo Loco. Welcome to El Chat. That's not it. In French, it's called clavardage, which is the worst fucking word. Clavardage. Clavardage. It's clavardage. It's 3 syllables. Chat is 1 syllable. Look, I love French and I love English, right? French is infuriating, though, for my English brain sometimes. French is a language that was designed to woo women. That's what it's for. Because you have 6 adjectives for 6 synonyms for every word kind of thing. And you can add on adverbs and adjectives ad nauseum to what you're doing. There's like 70 million verb tenses. So you can take multiple paths to say the same thing. And it's all very flowery and elegant. It's a language that you use it's a language you use like to when you're talking to the royal court, right? And you want to impress them. That's what you do. English, man, it's fucking to the point. It's like, we're not running around, no nonsense. Boom, in your face. Bam, 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 bam. It's 2 different attitudes. And I like English. English it's the first language I learned, so it's a lot more natural for me. French is very natural too, don't get me wrong. But sometimes it's like, especially in my line of work, where I write a lot of copy, right? And I'm like, I write my copy in English and it's all succinct and punchy. But in French, there's always like connectors and extra words. And I'm like, this is too much. It's too long. I have a 10-word slogan right here. And I have to boost it up to 23 to make it make sense in French. And it's like, Coupe de la fromage. Cut the cheese. That's not what you don't have the direct translation of cut the cheese in French does not mean the same thing. It really means cutting like actual dairy product of cheese. It's not like... Let's see what else happened on Dynamite. We get the announcement of the world title rematch between Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson. It will take place at the TBS debut on January 5th. So, I mean, I think that's probably the best thing to make sure that people know to tune in to TBS on that night and to pop the rating. And that's fine. They're doing Maurice and Miz. They're renewing their vows on Raw on Monday for some reason. But good for them. And that'll probably pop a rating. People like wrestling weddings and shit like that. So, yes, it's popping ratings and let's do it. That's fine. That's cool. Let's do it, right? I don't have a problem with that. And especially since they're moving networks, they have to get the word out there that it's going to be on TBS. That's fine. Hangman was in the ring. He started cutting a promo. He says that in the 3 years that he was on, that he's been in AEW, he's not feeling like a champion, right? For the first time since not being there after the 60-minute draw. But Bryan Danielson comes out and interrupts him. And I don't know if you noticed, Danielson just comes out, no music, right? No Flight of the Valkyries. He just, whoa, and I thought that's cool. And he said that he should be the rightful champion after kicking his ass, of course. And to avoid, and basically, they basically laid out the stipulation, right? What were we talking about? What was I talking about last week? An Iron Man match? Or a two out of three falls? I think the Iron Man match would have been my my go-to. But there was another one. I can't remember. But we were talking about different stipulations. But they decided to go with, because Danielson says, and this is his argument, to avoid like going to the time limit draw again, we're going to have judges. We're going to call the match if we go to the draw again. And I sort of shrugged, and I kind of felt it was anticlimactic, because they've done this. They did it before, right? They being AEW, the Jericho Cody match, Full Gear, 2019, right? They had Dean Malenko, Arn Anderson, and the Great Muta, as judges, but the judges never came into play. Now, if we get some explanation as to what the judges are going to be for, because they just judges. I'm like, okay, well, what do we do here? How is this going to work? If we get some explanation, if we get some, what are the judges looking out for? Are they going to judge on this after the draw? If a draw happens, are they going to score this? How are they going to score it? What's the process of scoring? I'm okay with that. Or just go right in with UWF rules, right? Just come on in, or UWFI rules, right? Start off with 15 points, and you start losing them when you get knocked down, when you're thrown into the ropes and whatnot, until we get to 0, or do that, right? Or do that. Because otherwise, it's just like, it's exactly like what Hangman Page said, just we're giving some old guys a payday, which again is fine. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but what does it, like, the thing here is that I don't know what this entails. I don't know what it means, because the last time they did the judges thing, it did not have an impact on the result of the match. So I don't know how this is going to be different. I don't know how this will impact them. Like, I don't know. So it's hard for me to get excited for the stipulation. So as it stands right now, in my brain, we're getting a straight up match, Bryanson Page 2, and I couldn't be more excited for it. Like, I'm down for this. This is going to be great. And it is going to pop a rating. And I'm still wondering when AEW is going to run out of pops, but but I mean, that's cool stuff too. I liked it. I thought it was a good segment. It makes sense in the way that they're going, but I want to know. I want to understand. I need to get that. Ruby Soho defeated Nyla Rose to move to the finals of the TBS title tournament. I thought the match was okay. Nothing wrong with it. Of course, there were the jacket shenanigans at first. I don't remember who told me this. I think it was a wrestler. I don't remember who. It was like, the first thing that you have to do whenever you have gear that you're carrying to the ring, you have to test it time and time again backstage that you're able to take it off by yourself. Every single time. That was like if you're coming out with a hoodie, you have to take the hoodie off and put it back on, and take it off and put it back on, just to make sure that you can every single time. Zip down, same thing. A jacket, sweater vest, cardigan, which is essentially the same thing. A shirt, a button-down shirt, whatever. A t-shirt. Because a lot of these guys are buffs and have huge necks. It's like, can you take it on and off again? So that's the thing. That's what we have. So, sucks. I don't know. But, I would have really liked some improvisation from Nyla there. Since the jacket was clearly fixed to Ruby's wrist, fucking use it then. Then start swatting her with the jacket. What's Ruby gonna do? Like, just use the jacket, instead of just trying to hide the fact. Oh, I'm trying. I don't want to give the impression that I'm helping her taking it off, because this would clearly give me an advantage in a real fight. But it's just but it's a quibble. You know, I would have liked that, but it's fine. The match was fine. You know, the no future kick, which apparently is turning into a point of contention with a lot of folks, saying that Ruby doesn't have, that it's not exactly over the move, that people don't know when it's coming, so on and so forth. I think if Ruby commits to doing what she did to Nyla Rose, which would be to set someone up on the top rope and then sort of drag the person off the top rope into the no future, that would rule, and that would get people to pop, because then they know, oh, it's coming, it's setting up, and then it's like, boom. I kind of like that. I think it's good. By the way, fuck transphobes. Fuck you all. There's no social grace from me to you. If you are out there and you decide to go to a wrestling show and bring that kind of bullshit sign that we saw last night about Nyla, fuck you. And if you're offended by what I just said in any way, shape, or form, you're like, please, I couldn't care less. And you can stop listening. You can stop watching. You can go find another podcast. I'm sure there are tons of wrestling podcasts out there that don't give a shit about this stuff and will actually maybe cater to your specific tastes. I don't want you as an audience member, as a viewer, as a subscriber, a follower, nothing. You have no sense of purpose in my life, and I will gladly make sure that that you are not around me in any way, shape, or form. I have no patience, zero tolerance for that kind of stuff. And people on Twitter reacting very offensively to tweets that I put out, and I just hit the block button, which is something I usually don't do, but I have zero tolerance, zero patience for that shit. So, and I swear to God, it has no place in anything that I do here. So hopefully I have cultivated the type of audience that feels the opposite, and I have a tendency to feel like I do. And I'm very proud of that. I think, you know, just in the Mr. WarrenHayes Discord, there's a variety of people, and, you know, I'm very proud. I'm very, very proud of my audience. But that kind of shit like we saw last night, we don't have room for that. There's no place, no time, no room for that at all. Anyway, Ruby Soho moves forward into the finals. My brackets are still perfect. We've got Jade versus Thunder Rosa next week. My prediction, I'm still sticking with Jade. I'm still staying with Jade. Could be surprised, but I'm still sticking with Jade. And I want to say hello to Kristen Ashley, the first lady of the Mr. WarrenHayes show. Yeah. Welcome to the show, darling. Hello. I'm looking at your avatars like, I see you. Hi. And of course we had the announcement for the video of Owen Hart to set up the Owen Hart Cup tournaments, which will begin next year and culminate at Double or Nothing. So that's exciting. We got and they had in this great video with fantastic footage from his time in Japan. We had Mark Henry talk, Matt Hardy, 2.0, Eddie Kingston, Adam Cole, Dustin Rhodes, Sean Spears. So, you know, a lot of contemporaries, some Canadians, some of his, current wrestlers, you know, who didn't know him, but talked about how he was an influence. Fantastic stuff. My challenge was to not cry during it all, and I failed miserably. Just the waterworks. I'm excited to see how this goes. Now, those are my thoughts on Dynamite. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time now for us to move on to the big attraction, the main event tonight. This is what we are doing. We are going to jump in right now and go over the Mr. WarrenHayes 2021 Naughty or Nice list in wrestling. All right. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, we have props. That's what we have here. Do these look okay? That's set up all right. Yeah, looks crooked. There we go. That's a little better. There we go. So, bring this a little forward, maybe like that. There we go. So, put on a little more light. Here we go. Live programming. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Thinking about the year 2021. I don't think it's not time to talk about matches of the year yet. We're not quite there yet, but we are at a moment where we can start thinking back at everything that happened throughout 2020, throughout 2021, and we can think about all the things that happened. And I decided to split them into a list, not unlike one Santa Claus, right, where he sets out his list of naughty and nice things that children, and so I was like, I'll do a list of naughty and nice things that happened in pro wrestling in 2021 this year. So I have a sack of nice things, and I have a naughty sack. Tell me you didn't see that one coming. So what I'm going to do, and I have some stuff all set up in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just dive in, pick something out of the nice list to begin with, and from the naughty, and we'll talk about it. All right? And folks, if you want to share your naughty or nice list stuff, drop a super chat, and we'll talk about your naughty and nice stuff too. No, we do that. So we'll start with something on the nice list. Get in here. Oh, look at that. Nice little scroll here with a little ribbon. My God, Warren, the production value's through the roof tonight. Did your AEW check clear? Opening up the scroll. Let's begin by talking about something that was very nice in 2021 this year. Shingo Takagi. Yes, indeed. Look, Shingo Takagi, this might be a spoiler, but Shingo Takagi is my wrestler of the year for 2021. I don't think there is any wrestler out there who has made more of who has had a more consistently great year than Shingo, being a champion, of course, but from his never title defenses, right? Because he was the never openweight champion at the beginning of the year. His defenses, his brilliant defense where he lost, but still losing against Hiroshi Tanahashi at New Beginnings, to his absolute fantastic match with Will Ospreay at Wrestling Dontaku in May, to finally winning the world title against Okada, and everything since then. This man has not had a single bad match. He has had systematic, good to excellent matches. He's been in one of the greatest matches I've ever seen this year, the one at Dontaku against Will Ospreay. Nothing but fantastic stuff from our boy Shingo all year long. And I couldn't be more excited to think about what 2022 is going to have in store for him, because he's a big deal. Holy shit! Anakin JMT just dropped a very, 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 very generous super chat. Thank you so much, Anakin. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Says Merry Christmas, and to you, sir. Says DGMC is a coward and definitely on the naughty list. Well, he digs his own grave. But thank you so much, Anakin, for the super chat. It's I'm a little taken aback. Thank you very much. It's very extremely kind of you. Let's head on over to the naughty side here. Let's see what we got. We'll pull out something here. Oh, look, it's a lump of coal. Can't say I didn't go all out. Oh, well, look. Okay, so we have a theme going. On the naughty list is the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Now, let's be honest with each other, right? It was trash. The IW. Okay, let's move back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit, right? Kota Ibushi pins Tetsuya Naito at Wrestle Kingdom, January 4, 2021, to win both the heavyweight and the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championships, right? And when he's done, he's going around talking about and by the way, he becomes the third man in the history of New Japan to win all those three titles, to win the IWGP heavyweight, junior heavyweight, and the IC title, to win the IWGP heavyweight and junior heavyweight. Never mind the IC, but he becomes only the third man to win both of those belts. The other man being Nobuhiko Takada, and another man, I don't know if you've heard of him. His name is Kenny Omega. So, but then on top of that, he gets the IC title, and not immediately, but soon thereafter, he's like, oh, we're going to unify them. I want to unify the titles. I personally am like, that's fine. Get rid of the IC title. I was never a big fan of the IC title, and I don't think New Japan saw any real value in it. I was like, sure, yeah, dump the shit. But when they do, it's not like they're just merging the IC title's history into the IWGP Heavyweight Championships history. No, they're creating a whole new lineage, a whole new belt. And here, okay, first of all, the belt is ugly. It doesn't look good. And we've seen all the jokes, from the Cody neck tattoo to the Divas Butterfly Championship belt. Like, we've seen it all, right? From top to bottom, we've seen it all. So not only does it get panned for that, but it mostly gets panned from people like myself for resetting the IWGP Heavyweight title history. Because the IWGP Heavyweight title, not the world title, the heavyweight title, has always been considered one of the most prestigious belts in pro wrestling. It has a long, storied lineage with some of the best wrestlers in the world to have held it. You know, of course, there's always exceptions, Bob Sapp, but still the lineage is there, and it's important, and it's meaningful, and it's meaningful to fans, it's meaningful to wrestlers as well. And they just, no, we're done with that. That belt hits the bricks, and this is the start of a new era. And I'm like, that was very naughty, New Japan, to do that. I didn't care for it. Still don't care for it. I'm still not used to seeing it. And look, did you see the pictures of Nakajima and Shingo for the Noah show, face to face? You have Shingo with his fucking butterfly belt, and then you have Nakajima with the GHC belt, his world title, and it looks good. Like, the GHC title looks really, really good, and it's like it blows that other trinket out of the water. The IWGP Heavyweight title looked like a prize. It always has looked like a prize, and to this day, I am convinced the AEW World title was patterned off of that. I'm sure they took inspiration from it. JK Schwal left a very generous super chat as well. Jeez, guys, thank you very much, JK Schwal. I appreciate it, and by the way, hi. Didn't know you were here. He says in the super chat, if meeting me in Milwaukee isn't a scroll or a coal, I'm not too picky. I want a refund. He says, JK, but the dancing funeral meme is a nice scroll-worthy selection too. Merry Christmas from me and the pups. Thank you so much, JK Schwal. I appreciate it. And Merry Christmas to you and to Reggie, the dog, as well. Reggie is the mascot of the post streams. The members only post streams, and JK Schwal is a contributing member. The dog is the mascot. The dog. And then there's JK Schwal, who hangs out too. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the very kind super chat. I appreciate it. let's go over to into the nice section here. We'll pull out another lovely little scroll here. Oh, look at that. What do we got? Here's something very nice. The resurgence of the American Indies. Which I look, 2020 sucked because of COVID. We know why, and a lot of the independent circuit had to take a break, had to struggle. The empty arena shows, aren't the same thing. Some people were trying their best to try some stuff out, and it wasn't always easy. But since pandemic started to ease off, I'm not saying it disappeared, started to ease off. We started to get people vaccinated and so on and so forth. There's really been a resurgence of shows. There's really been a resurgence of promotions, putting on week after week or monthly shows, quality shows. Because on top of that, there's so much talent available. Right? We know why. We might be able to talk about that in a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. But there's so much talent out there. There's so many people ready to wrestle and ready to make a living off the indies. Look, and you've got great things happening. You got GCW, Game Changer. He's running the Hammerstein soon. They're going to be, and on top of that, setting up an independent wrestling Hall of Fame. It's a big deal. Beyond Wrestling is doing great. Had fantastic pay-per-view. They have their weekly show, which is a must-watch week after week. And now they're adding a new show, The Open, which is basically like an open mic night for comedians, where it's like, bring your gear and come wrestle kind of thing. Warrior Wrestling out of Chicago. This is awesome. Putting on quality shows. I was so happy during my trip in the Midwest to be able to go see a Warrior show and get that energy live. I saw one of my favorite matches of the year right there. Kylie Ray and Thunder Rosa tore the place down. Nothing, and this was a night where Jay White was there. Nothing even came close to that match. I mean, and everything was great. My point is that Thunder Rosa and Kylie Ray were fantastic. That's what I'm trying to say. Paradigm Pro Wrestling is doing great. Black Label Pro, Limitless, West Coast Pro, Defy. We're seeing these promotions so much more because streaming has now become the norm. It's become accessible, and the promotions that are working on the women's side as well, promoting women's shows, Shimmer, Mission Pro, WWR Plus, the LGBTQ community, which is becoming more and more represented, Enjoy Wrestling, Hood Slam, Paris is Bumping, Uncanny Attractions, the Polyam Cult, Wrestlers Lab. There is so much stuff out there. So much great opportunities for talented, and I'm just talking, these are mostly like the national levels, right? That's not talking about your own local promotions and what's going on in your environment. It's such a good feeling to see this again, right? To be able to get back into that. It makes me excited. And I'm excited for the future of the indies. And you know what's, I've had a couple of wrestlers tell me this in interviews and so on and so forth, it's sort of slowly turning into, slowly, right? We're not talking about, but slowly but surely, we're having people who don't see being signed as the end all of their career. That it's possible to just go out there and make a living on the indies. It's hard. It's hard work. But I don't know, there's some people out there who are just like, you know what? I'm an indie wrestler. That's what I'm going to be for my career. My end all is not necessarily to be signed by WWE, for instance, and that's fantastic. Jason PS3, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Is it a coincidence that when Jason appears, I go to the naughty sack? Get another lump of coal. Let's see what we got here. All right, here's going to be a controversial one, I think, as far as something on the naughty list this year. Chris Jericho. I was not... Look, I think I should preface this by saying that I've always liked Chris Jericho. I always have. He's always been a top wrestler of mine. I'm still a huge fan. I fell in love with Chris Jericho in WCW, in his run there. When he jumped to Raw, it was a huge deal for me. I feel like his 2021, it wasn't it. I don't think it was all that good. The signature of Jericho's feuds in 2021, and this is like outside of anything that, anything political or stuff that he tweets or, Fozzy, it's like, I'm really talking about what in ring, right? The signature of all his feuds is, back and forth promo work where, everyone tries to be clever. Everyone tries to one up each other, tries to get the audience to call this person some insulting new nickname. And sometimes it works. But this year I felt like most of the time it dragged. I thought his stuff with MJF and the Pinnacle Inner Circle feud was too much and too focused on those two guys. You can tell that not everyone really benefited from this feud because they're still struggling to find something to do with Santana and Ortiz, which still blows my mind to this day. And, just the extra fourth singles match in that feud, I think it was unnecessary. I don't think anyone was like, yeah, let's go for a fourth time. I think everyone was sort of like, oh, okay, all right. And as far as I could tell, that match was most people's least favorite match from All Out this year. The Jericho MJF one, just to be sure we're clear on what I'm talking about. And then the Dan Lambert stuff was so hit and miss, and I like Dan Lambert. I'm on that side of the fence. I enjoy Dan Lambert. I think he's great in what he has to do. He's fantastic. If you don't, it's like, having Jim Cornette without the baggage, right? that's my quick hot take on that. But his, the whole thing with America's Top Team was really just about the two. Yes, it gave us an entertaining romp, but that we've all already forgotten about, right? It's just like something that really didn't help anyone, really. And Lambert is still around, and he's still trying to get Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page over, who I think were some of the big sufferers in all this, in all that feud. So I think there's a lot of collateral damage that occurred in Jericho's feuds this year. A lot of things that were focused on him and another person, but involved a whole group of other people, which really didn't help. It really didn't help elevate anyone. I don't know. So naughty, but it's not like Chris Jericho sucks. I just thought I think his 2021 was a year off. Was an off year. Let's go over here. Get another little scroll on the nice side of things. I think we can all agree that this is very nice. The Forbidden Door was a very, very nice thing to happen to pro wrestling in 2021. I mean, look, it created some of the most exciting, the exchanges of talent between multiple promotions this year created some of the most exciting conversations amongst pro wrestling fans that I had seen in a long, long time. Between Impact and AEW sharing the same world champion, to just the talent exchange, New Japan people coming into AEW, of course, all the work with the indies. It was a very, very, very exciting time. Created a lot of what ifs, and we're getting this type of match. So this type of this person can happen. We get friggin' Minoru Suzuki on national television, North American national television, wrestling treasure, and grandfather that we wish we'd all have so he could kick our ass when we do something wrong. It just absolute, and putting on some fun matches, some good time. There was, it truly created an energy within wrestling fandom that like I said, I hadn't seen in a long, long time. And you felt there was a lot of goodwill. There was a lot of trying stuff out. We're going to send this person here. We're going to send that person there. We're going to try this out. And it just got the blood pumping, right? It was just so much fun. The Forbidden Door. And, you can argue, is it still open? Is it still closed? No, or has it closed again? Not still closed, but has it closed up? I think you can argue that maybe it's not as porous as it was, I think there might be some scaling back now that sort of like the honeymoon period is over, but some solid relationships will maintain. Like I feel a good connection now between New Japan and AEW, which is something that none of us felt when AEW started. I think the reasons are fairly well documented why, but I think there was a lot of this helped to thaw out those relations, and I think that's a good thing. If I want to add a little, if I want to scrape away a little bit at the sheen of the niceness of this part here of the Forbidden Door, I think that, I think Impact not being able to properly capitalize on the Forbidden Door outside of AEW talent going over there, I think that's a problem. I think that's something that well, it's a problem. It's a shame that Impact wasn't able to fully capitalize on that, decided to go back to weird booking decisions in their old ways by putting Moose, for instance, at the top. And not enough trading with the women, not enough Forbidden Door for the women. And, been reading Deonna Purrazzo talk about it, and she had even talked about it with me when I interviewed her. Not enough back and forth opportunities for the women to wrestle other women from other promotions. That's a bit of a shame. In otherwise, something that was very nice in 2021, but let's talk about something naughty now, as I get another lump of coal here. Here we go. The return of Becky Lynch. Now, I'm not gonna lie, right? When Sasha Banks could not make it for undisclosed reasons at SummerSlam this year, I can appreciate WWE going, son of a bitch, we got this big match, this big rematch with Bianca Belair. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What's our next big match? Well, of course, your next big match is bringing in someone with a big return like Becky Lynch, right? Right. That makes sense to me. And I think it makes sense to you when you sit down and you pull out your booking pen and your booking sheet of paper that you carry to you at college football games, and you hold like this. Not college football games, like just plain old football game. I think that all makes sense, right? So, having Becky Lynch show up as the surprise opponent was indeed a surprise, and a good surprise, because people were excited to see Becky Lynch come back. But what happens here? WWE gets in its own way, has Becky squash their current champion, Bianca Belair, like nothing. A true to form Brock Lesnar, Kofi Kingston type situation. And then they try to shoehorn Becky Lynch into becoming a heel when I don't know who wants Becky Lynch to be a heel. I don't know anyone. Chat, do you want Becky Lynch to be a heel? I've never seen anyone say, man, you know, I wish she was nasty. I wish she'd be just shitting all over everything. Everyone wants to cheer for Becky. And it's just natural and organic. That's always been her thing. That's how she got over in the first place. She always has had that connection with the audience, that thing, an intangible that just makes people want to root for her. And even to this day, she comes out as big time Bex and all the, you know, her get up, and, you know, she comes to the ring all cocky and stuff, and they cut to the audience to show little girls clapping for her. They're like, WWE, what the fuck are you like? You can't even get your own story straight. You're literally showing us even little girls want to cheer for her because it's Becky Lynch. And you can tell Becky Lynch is a heel because she cuts you people promos. It's telling that in your company, in this company right now, your two top people, unarguably, Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch. There's no one bigger in WWE. There's no one more face of the company than those two. Both of them are heels because WWE can't sustain baby faces because they can't. They just don't. They don't know how to do it. All they know is, we gotta get the heat. That's all they need to do. And this was a disaster, and it's still a disaster, and it has taken the wind out of the sails of a return that could have been so much more exciting. And I have people telling me, it's like, well, what would you have done at SummerSlam if you're not going to bring Becky back? Maybe don't have a match then. Or just do the match is Carmella and that's it. And move on. Like, you didn't have to bring Becky. You made this yourselves. WWE created this situation themselves. Or just don't do the angle. Have a proper match. Maybe Becky wasn't ready for the match. Then don't do the match. You know what I mean? It's like these, I've said this multiple times, but it's as if when the thing happens, it becomes this invariable. It's like, it happened, so there's all sorts of excuses around it. Although, the basic logic could be like, well, they could have chosen to not do it in the first place. Anyway. Let's take a look over here. That was a piece of coal, right? Let's get something nice here out of the nice sack. Oh, look, a red one. A red scroll. My God, variety. Warren. Let's open this up. Ah, here's something very nice for 2021. Thunder Rosa. What a year for her. Having arguably one of the most memorable matches in AEW's short history against Britt Baker, but that, to me, that's just a small sliver of the Thunder Rosa pie. That sounded weird. Let me rephrase that. It's a small sampling of everything that Thunder Rosa does. Because look, I've had the opportunity to see Thunder Rosa a couple of times live and in different circumstances. Saw her on a dark taping, saw her at Warrior Wrestling, saw her at another AEW show. Every single time, every time she comes out, she gets the most enormous reactions from the crowd. She gets one of the biggest pops of the night systematically. Why? Because people appreciate her work. She has the charisma. She connects with people, but she has that. Her connection is really a testament of her work, of her efforts, and not just what she does in the ring. I'm talking about how much she gives back to her communities. How much she gives back to women's wrestling as well by creating Mission Pro and holding shows there as well. She gives and gives and gives of herself. She's doing the vlog stuff now. Thunder Rosa is, she didn't win the AEW World Title this year. Didn't have like this prestigious run with a big belt for the better part of 2021. But I still think that she is an essential part of wrestling, and not just women's wrestling this year. And we were all blessed to have her on our national televisions, to have her at our local shows. Hell, she showed up at GCW too. Don't forget that. The woman goes. She loves wrestling. She loves wrestling fans. Plus, she gives back. I got nothing wrong. And people love her on top of that. She's an attraction. People want to see Thunder Rosa. I don't know what else. 2022 has to be her year. It has to be the year where everything just... It's like we have a simmering volcano right now that's just on the verge of bursting. Thunder Rosa, man. Something special. Let's go see some. Let's go get a lump of coal here. We're going deep here. The Will Ospreay New Japan Cup angle. Remember that shit? You remember? Yeah, I'm sure you do. If you follow New Japan. That was a tear. New Japan, I like to say it was snake bitten this year. It was hit by the coronavirus. A lot of its people, they were cycling through talent. It was a hard one, and they were doing their best. But at the same time, New Japan was putting on some shit booking like this thing. He wins the New Japan Cup, just as a refresher. This is before he being Will Ospreay, before he decides to go for the Ibushi and the belt, the new belt. He wins the New Japan Cup and basically says, I'm coming after the world title and I'm going to do whatever it takes. So he turns and attacks his girlfriend, Bea Priestley, who was in the ring with him as part of his stable, the United Empire, and starts wailing on her. And in something that just was extremely tone deaf and distasteful. There's a couple of reasons for this. Of course, we all know, look, Will Ospreay, as I've argued in the past, he's generally associated with the speaking out movement because of his defense of Scott Wainwright, right? The whole Pollyanna situation when he accused Wainwright of sexually assaulting her. And she was blackballed from the wrestling community, and Will Ospreay sort of stuck up for Wainwright, which that just a dumb decision. Don't do that. But then there were rumors that he had blackballed Pollyanna, and then one of the promotions that actually accused Will Ospreay of blackballing Pollyanna came out and said, "Hey, you know what? We messed up. That's not exactly what happened." And it's like, Jesus Christ. They retracted their statement last fall. People were still quite pissed off about it, right? It doesn't change the accusations from Pollyanna, right? Don't get me wrong. It's just, Will Ospreay's, he has that reputation that follows him now, and he has a history of misogynistic behavior to women online specifically. How he handled the Sadie Gibbs stuff a couple of years ago, where she took time off from Stardom to be with an alien family member. He's like, "You're never going to amount to anything," and all that stuff. It's like, it's garbage. So in that angle, you're sort of like, man, don't do that. Don't do it. Oh, Gato told me to do it. I get it. The boss tells you to do something, you go ahead and do it. But this was it was bad. And I get why they did it. First of all, they wanted to write B off of New Japan and also Stardom eventually because she was heading back to the UK and she signed with NXT UK. So I get why they did it. It was just a poor way of doing it that served nothing and just added an extra layer to this that was just like, it was garbage. It was to show that Will Ospreay was ready to do anything to get the title, even beat up his girlfriend. You're like, that's a weird message to put across. I will beat up my loved ones. I will kick the shit out of my loved ones to get what I want. Like, That's not good heel heat. That just sort of makes you a weirdo. It was a bad angle to a good tournament, and especially as a jumping off point for Ospreay. It's all like it taints the whole thing. I thought it was garbage. But now we shall have a palate cleanser in the form of a something nice. Say it with me. Shibata's back. I don't know if Kristen is in the chat right now, but she can attest to this. We were watching the finals of the G1, and Shibata came out to have his exhibition match with Zack Sabre Jr. I poured, eyed, and just, I cried so hard. I was so happy. And now he's going to be wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom. At this point, we still don't know who his opponent's going to be. I mean, if that doesn't make you feel good, if that doesn't give you energy, a reason to get back into watching New Japan, I don't know what is. I don't know what can do it for you, but Shibata, man, was told he'd never wrestle again. A guy that everyone loved. That's one of the best. It's one of the best pieces of news to come out of 2021, and it's going to carry us into 2022. I am stoked to see what kind of future this is setting up here. He wants to wrestle. He's been cleared to wrestle. It's fantastic. Couldn't be happier. A lump of coal, shall we? What do we got? This guy. Tyrus. One of the cancers of the NWA. Look, I'm not going to get into the Fox News stuff, his politics. The guy stinks as a professional wrestler. Okay? Now I'm still stunned that in the year 2021 we have a promoter, in this case one William Patrick Corgan, who gets excited at the idea that one of his guys is on national TV on Fox. Is like, well, here, I'm going to make you TV champion and you can take the belt and put it over your shoulder when you start talking about how, how Biden is an awful president. That to me boggles my mind. Because it's the only conceivable reason you'd put any championship on Tyrus. I've seen the guy wrestle live. He's awful. He gets gassed by stepping through the ropes. He can't walk. He can barely walk. He doesn't do shit. He's a terrible professional wrestler. And some people wonder why. Why aren't you getting in? Why can't you get into the NWA anymore? It's this kind of junk. It's this kind of shit that keeps you from getting into the NWA. When you see someone who can't do it. My God. I can't blame anyone who tunes in, sees Tyrus, and is like, no, I'm good. AK Germany 96 left us a super chat. Thank you very much, and hello. Good to see you. He says, the hiring of Jamie Hayter is on my nice list. Oh, that's a very good addition to anyone's nice list. Nobody saw it coming, and a lot of people are probably still sleeping on her. I hope they book her well. I hope so too. I think we all saw her value with her match with Thunder Rosa, which is still the best match of the TBS title tournament to this day so far, and probably I'd argue one of the best matches in AEW of the year. If you were to line up a top 10 of AEW matches this year, I think there's a fair argument for that to be on that list. It was extremely good. Yeah, Hayter rocks. She's got worldwide experience. She's got the stardom experience with her, and you can tell she helps out a lot. She helps out the women a lot in the ring. She knows how to work with them, work with their strengths, their weaknesses. She's fantastic, and I hope AEW makes her into something special, because she is something special. Let's head on over to my list again. Thank you very much, AK Germany 96, for the super chat. Ah, yes, the PWI Women's 150. That to me was a big deal. It was a big deal for a couple of reasons. First of all, it was the list went from 100 to 150 from last year, from 2020 being at 100 to 150. The growth of the list, I think, is indicative of the growth of women's wrestling, right? And how much of a bigger space it's taking, and I think it's fantastic. And on top of, and I think that it's nice because, well, on a very personal level, because I was on the committee, and I was still very proud to have been a part of that committee, and I can't thank Kevin and Kristen for having me on. It was fantastic, especially on a list like this one this year, where you had where we had a top 5, which I was extremely proud of. Bianca Belair at number 1, Utami at number 2, Deonna at number 3, Britt Baker at number 4, and Thunder Rosa at number 5. Like, to me, it is a well-balanced, wonderful list that makes a lot of sense, taking from everywhere. The strength, the strength of the powerhouse that was Bianca Belair in WWE in 2021. The continuous upswing of Joshi in North America. Deonna being the emblem of work rate in women's wrestling, just doing the job everywhere, looking like a pro, like a champion everywhere she went. A woman who took her destiny into her own hands and made magic with it. Britt becoming the face of AEW that they wanted her to be, but didn't know how to go about it. And now they're just letting her be what she is, and just a true to form cornerstone of the women's division. And Thunder Rosa, well, look, I sold you on Thunder Rosa earlier. I'm very proud of the list. I'm extremely proud to have been on this list, to have been a part of the committee that came up with the list this year. I think there was a lot of great stuff in it. More coal. Yeah, I mean, this applies to everything, right? Not just wrestling, but the coronavirus, as far as wrestling goes, look, anyone will tell you 2021 was better in regards to the pandemic than 2020 was, but we're still on the cusp. Like, everything is still very fragile. We could go into lockdown at any given moment, right? And I was talking about the resurgence of the American Indies earlier. There's it's not every place that's still running at full capacity. Promoters are still, doing their best trying their hardest and working with local officials to make sure that everything stays safe and within regulations. But man, like on a dime, this could all flip on us, and we could find ourselves back into a situation where indie shows can't run anymore, and then indie wrestlers have to scramble for revenue. We could end up back at the Thunderdome and empty arenas again. Like we are on the brink of all of this, right? And that's kind of what stinks with that, with the situation that we're in and how it affects specifically pro wrestling. Of course, the coronavirus has societal implications from top to bottom, right? Not just pro wrestling, but since this is a pro wrestling podcast, right? I mean, I'm the guy who's always optimistic. I always, the glass is always half full for me. But it's frightening sometimes to think how close we could be. Everyone is excited that, especially in the independent circuit, that everything is running, that everyone's running shows. But man, drop of a dime, and we're all back to square one. And I really hope it doesn't happen. Get vaccinated, God damn it. Want to say hello to Conrad from Everything Pro Wrestling. Conrad is on my nice list. Even if I don't pick it, his name is not like actually in it. Conrad's a cool guy. Thank you for being here, man. Happy holidays to you too. This is undeniable. The return of CM Punk to professional wrestling. CM Punk, the embodiment of everything wrong with of everything counterculture about pro wrestling, right? The guy who the voice of the voiceless, the guy who wanted to fight the system so that people could enjoy pro wrestling, right? The man who symbolized an entire fan base's discontent toward a product, whose energy carried into the creation of AEW, which was founded, right, off of that same type of energy. It's like, we're sick of only having one show around. Let's do more. Let's try some stuff out. And he returns to the place, right, that is, to a certain degree, his brainchild, right? Yeah, like the chat says, the patron saint of WWE discontent returns. And what a return. I was there, and I will never forget the reaction that man got. It is still to this day the loudest thing I have ever heard. I know I've said it before, but as you may recall, AEW did not promote he was going to be there. They never uttered the name CM Punk, but it was implied everywhere. Everyone was anticipating it. Everyone was excited. United Center, Chicago, a big surprise, Rampage. What did they call it? The first dance or something like that, right? The opening dance, this first dance, I don't remember. And I recall we're watching a dark taping and everyone's there and you get the occasional CM Punk chants and everyone is sort of building themselves up. And then Rampage starts, the last dance. And the Rampage starts and you get people up on their feet and they're chanting CM Punk, CM Punk. And everyone is, you see the cameras moving around. You see on the Titantrons, or they're not Titantrons, the Codytrons, the Controns. Should we call them the Controns moving forward? I think that's funny. We'll call them the Tonytrons. The Tonytrons! That's what we're calling them. So they're on the Tonytrons. You see what's being broadcast on TV, right? And it's taken a while, and people are up on their feet, and they're shouting for CM Punk. And you know how that first riff of Cult of Personality goes, it didn't even make it past like the first note. Like instead of hearing like the first chord, it just goes. You get the signs with the CM Punk logo. The place just comes unglued. You cannot hear anything but people shouting and the reverb of people shouting. You don't hear the music at all. And then you see CM Punk walk out. I saw the people crying. I saw them. Not the guy on TV, but I saw other people crying. I saw people high-fiving each other in the audience. Like whole rows of people. People hugging each other. I have goosebumps just thinking about it again. I was excited. I was excited to be there. I was excited to see that. And I've never been so excited to see a show start with an opening 15-minute promo in my entire life. But that was special. And it seems to me that it's solidified, that AEW does want to give to the fans. It does want to give fans experiences that they will like and that they'll remember. And I appreciate that. I think, CM Punk's on a very interesting trajectory so far. I enjoy what they're doing with him. I'm curious to see. I think 2022 will be very telling as to what CM Punk is going to do. Let's revisit CM Punk's first year in AEW to see how it went. But in the meantime, we're going for a lump of coal from the naughty list. What did they do with my NXT guys, gals, non-binary pals? What did they do? I don't know, like, whatever they're doing with NXT now is the complete antithesis to every reason why I watched NXT to begin with, right? And it's just devolved into something that I don't understand, I don't follow, and I don't really care about anymore. Because I can understand the idea of wanting to change up a product because it's not necessarily working for you. But it feels like such a dramatic shift. And we haven't been prepared for it. We didn't have time to settle in and be like, oh, okay, well, all of this is happening, and they're pushing these new guys, and the older guard is moving away. Like, there's nothing left for me to get into. All of my favorites are gone. Everyone that I liked were either called up or were tossed aside or decided to leave. It's like, Warren, give it time. Give it time. You'll be able to, they're building new people. Look, Braun Breaker, I enjoy him as much as the other guy, as any other person, right? It's fine. But I don't see what Grayson Waller brings to the table. I don't see what Andre Chase brings to the table. I think Joe Gacy's gimmick is obnoxious, and it's not going to get him over. I don't know why they decided to revamp Parker Boudreaux to make him look like bald wrestler number 73. I don't. They're even getting rid of the cruiserweight title, right? They got rid of Hit Row, which I thought was a legitimate breath of fresh air in the entire company. Something that I was like, this is exciting. This is fun. I can get behind this. This is new. It feels fresh. Now we've got a land which is back to being developmental with people that I don't know who they are and I can't really get behind them. They're leaning too much into main roster storytelling, but this has been a problem they've had for a while. When the NXT that I liked was just like, you come in, you sit down for an hour, you have a good opener, a great main event, and some squash matches in the middle. And there was no nonsense, there was no storylines, there was no Chase University, there was none of this bullshit. Because that's what it is. It ultimately is that we turn in, and then there's bullshit, there's poker games, and this is not why I watched NXT. So I'm not going to start tuning into a third Raw every week, especially when it's with wrestlers who are destined to go up to main roster and be rebranded into something else, regardless of what they're doing right now in NXT. Once they get called up, they're doing something else. They're going to get a new name, a new gimmick. I couldn't care less. And we were talking about this in the Discord. By the way, join the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. There was a few of us talking about it, and we sort of came to a conclusion that essentially NXT is the equivalent of AEW Dark now, Dark Elevation, the Dark series, right? Where you have, the talent that you're building towards the future, that you're developing, that you're giving, you want to put them in front of cameras to develop them. That's essentially what it is. And you have the main roster shows, which is where they want to end up, which is what NXT was to begin with, and sort of lost its way when it became the Indie Super Show. But then again, the Indie Super Show NXT fucking ruled. Now it's like, I can't get excited. And again, there's talent that I like here. Tommaso Ciampa's still there. Fabian Aichner and Marcel Bartel are still there. There's talent I really like. Dakota Kai. Priscilla Kelly. Gigi Dolan, excuse me. These are talents that I really like. But this environment that they're in. And as I posited, right? As I proposed, as I offered up, they're clearly going for a younger demographic. I am pushing 50 years old. I'm clearly not the audience that they want. Yes, Pete Dunne as well is part of the talents that I still like. I agree. I'm not in the demographic they want anymore. So maybe it's normal that it's not meant for me. What else is on the nice list, Warren? Well, let's find out. This is a good one. Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair headlining WrestleMania. I don't know what I can add that hasn't already been said about this fantastic moment. Important moment for black people, for black fans of wrestling. WWE has delivered on that front quite a bit this year, but both of these fans of women's wrestling, black wrestling fans, it was such an enormous moment for them, for this moment to happen. Bianca getting consecrated there as a top level talent, I think is fantastic as well. Again, I don't know what else I could say other than it's important that we remember how great that moment was, how excited people were and still are, still talk about that moment very, very well, and a good match to boot. Like, the moment is one thing, right? WWE loves their moments. What about the match? Good match. Something that you'd be like, yeah, I'd rewatch that. Not a problem. Because Bianca ruled. Sasha always rules. Sasha always rules. Need I remind you, in order, the best four horsewomen, the best of the four horsewomen. Number 1, Sasha Banks. Number 2, Charlotte Flair. Number 3, Bayley. Number 4, Becky. As far as in-ring talent goes, right? Then you get all the intangibles and so on and so forth. It's a whole other story. Sasha's untouchable. Sasha's fantastic. Get Bianca in there. Everyone looked great. Fantastic moment. Which they had to squish when Becky came back for some reason, of course. But hey, let's pull out another lump of coal here. How's everybody doing? I'm going late, aren't I? Eva Marie, for some godforsaken reason, was brought back to our television screens, where you had people being like, oh, Eva Marie is back, the evolution, so on and so forth, only to bring her back so we could be reminded that she is terrible at everything. She is terrible at wrestling. She's terrible at talking. She's terrible at walking. She's a stiff board of garbage. If only that reminded us, if only her return reminded us that Eva Marie is bad at all aspects of pro wrestling, from top to bottom. She's not a good promo. She's not a good heel. She's not a good face. She's not a good wrestler. She's not a good presence. She has no natural charisma. She's beautiful in a conventional way, in the type of supermodel, type of Hollywood way, but that's all she has. Because the minute she gets into a situation, she gets involved in something, everything goes to shit. I will never forget when Lily had her trip, right? And she landed on her knees and then fell forward. I was like, this is shit. You're a pro wrestler. You should be able to bump. Let's head over here. Oh, look at this. Another little something on the nice list. This one, there we go. Let's open it up here. Hey, I liked Bobby Lashley in 2021. I think he was one of the best reasons to watch Monday Night Raw. He was absolutely fantastic. I really think he was fantastic. His push started last year. Like, Bobby Lashley's push since 2020 has been absolutely pristine in WWE. Mid-card championship, defeating everyone, can't be beat, heads up to the main event level, starts beating chumps, and becomes a guy who's going to defeat Bobby Lashley. I loved it. And I still think Bobby Lashley is a great reason to watch Raw. I think he's doing some of his best work overall from top to bottom. Of course, promo work isn't his forte. That's why he has MVP. But apparently they're trying to split them up because, of course, right? He has systematically been one of the best reasons to watch Monday Night Raw, and I don't think he gets enough credit. I think guys like Kevin Owens get a lot of credit. I think a guy like I think Big E gets a lot of credit as well, but that's very natural, especially these days because he's the champion. But I really don't think Bob Lashley gets the kudos he should get. He's systematically one of the most entertaining reasons to watch Raw. There you go. Naughty list. What have we got this time? Yeah, here's something that I feel a lot of people. The end of SCU. You remember, like, I feel like a lot of people have pushed this away, but it's still like something that I think about occasionally. And I'm like, God damn. Like, Christopher Daniels was hinting like he wanted to retire and so on and so forth, and they worked it into this angle with him and Frankie, where it's like, we're going to wrestle matches, and when we lose, we'll split up, right? And let's not forget, SCU, very, very popular indie act, two guys who've been like up and down the road, Impact stalwarts. Like, these guys are vets, true to form veterans, right? Who've been around the block multiple times. And so they do this angle, right? Where they do this angle, and it mostly takes part on the dark shows, which already I find is kind of weird. It's kind of strange. I'm like, they should have some matches on TV once in a while, you know, sort of to remember people to be like, oh yeah, I see you. Oh, they're breaking. They might be breaking up. You know, add a little heat to it. And then finally this culminates into a match against the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks defeat them, so then they split up. But I don't know if you remember, like the match ends, and nothing really lingers in the ring. They just cut to a camera backstage to whatever angle was up next. And I'm like, wait a second. Just that fucking Christopher Daniels is retiring. Could we have like a moment, something a little solemn with the Young Bucks going, and then they leave the ring. Then SCU's like, they're in the ring and they hug and they cheer and give something to the audience. It seems to me it could have, and these are your inaugural World Tag Team Champions on top of that. That was a huge misstep, and I still think about it sometimes. I'm like, man, they really fucked that up. That wasn't cool. That was not cool, and I think Christopher Daniels should have got a proper send-off. SCU should have got a proper send-off. They still haven't fully really given us an explanation as to why Scorpio Sky decided to fuck off either, right? Anyway. What's next on the nice list? Nice little red scroll with the green ribbon. NWA Empower, which I was fortunate enough to see live. A huge moment for women's wrestling. For Mickie James, recently fired from WWE, was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want now. And it just so happens that her husband is the NWA World Champion at the time. So she's like, well, why don't we do something? And she gets together and she puts together a fantastic event on the same night as the anniversary show of the, not on the same night, on the same weekend as the anniversary show for the NWA, right? And it was a fantastic show. And I've got, like I said, I got to see it live. It was a lot of fun. Audience was super into it, but we really did get a lot of good matches. I thought the tournament that they had for the NWA, the revived NWA Women's World Tag Team titles, including the little tournament that they had in that moment where they revived it, the finals with Allison Kay, Marty Bell versus Kylan King and Red Velvet was fantastic. Camille versus Layla Hirsch over-delivered. I don't think anyone was expecting that match to be that good, and it really, really was. There was also there was another match. I'm trying to remember. Of course, Deonna Purrazzo wrestled on that card. That was fantastic. A great evening of wrestling with women. Like, it just so happens that there was women. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great show, and it shows that there is interest. It shows that there's motivation. And this was another great Forbidden Door kind of situation, right, where all sorts of women came in from everywhere. It's something that needs to be done again. We need to keep doing that. If not in the NWA, somewhere else. The indies carry a lot of the weight of women's wrestling, and I think it could be divided a little more evenly up on the major promotions as well. I'm not going to get into problems with the big two right now, but events like that, especially when you consider that the show the next night, the regular pay-per-view, was so very, very underwhelming as opposed to that one. It was good stuff. It was a great show and a fantastic moment. I really, really love it. I really, really love it. Into the naughty pile. Oh yeah, this guy. Vince McMahon there's, again, multiple reasons why you'd want to add Vince McMahon to a naughty list. I think he's been systematically on Santa's naughty list since 1972. I'll tell you one thing. The one thing that I want to focus on is the releases, right? I think that's the thing. Like I'm saying, Vince McMahon, you know, as long as it is understood that Vince McMahon runs WWE, I'm going to blame him for this kind of bullshit. I'm absolutely going to blame him. He released over 80 talent over the course of 2021, right? We're talking not just PC warm-up bench warmers, is what I'm trying to say. Not just performance center bench warmers. Mid-carders, main event talent, across the board. He's been tossing people out unceremoniously, trimming the fat. We knew this was eventually going to happen, but so dramatically and all at once like that. A promotion that really, really doesn't give a shit about the people it employs. Just sees you as a figure, as a renewable resource. You're expendable in WWE. That was ultimately the message that came out. We've heard Nia Jax talk about how she left, essentially because she said, you know, she was supposed to come back and get into that program with Bianca, right? But she requested a little more time off for her mental health. They were like, fine. And they gave her the boot. They said, we're okay. We have Dewdrop now. So we'll put Dewdrop in your spot. So they don't care about developing talent, really. They really don't. They just want, they're a casting agency is what they are now. They have roles. They just want to put people in them and have them hit the bricks. That's not quite how wrestling works. And no matter how many times people will tell me, it's like, oh, but it's sports entertainment. It's still wrestling. It's still people doing the wrestling thing. Regardless of how you want to name it or how you want to book it, you're still going to want to see, you're still tuning in to watch people wrestle. That's essentially what you're supposed to be doing. Vince firing all those people. I think he fired, like, when I say he, but you know what I mean, over like just about 200 people, something like that, between producers and staff and whatnot. 200 people. A company that is making money hand over fist. $1 billion company. Divesting themselves like that. It doesn't make sense. I don't know why anyone would want to work there. I don't. Because the risks are too high. And especially as a wrestler, now they're just like, oh, we're getting athletes. We're getting young, capable athletes that we can mold into whatever way we want, right? Nah. But of course, Vince is on the naughty list. But on the nice list, we are going to add Matt Cardona. Now, talk about making the most out of being fired, right? From WWE. Because, I mean, this guy was picked up by Impact, right? But he did like a couple of shows for no, that was last year when he did a few shows for AEW, right? When he was on that 5-show deal. But here's the thing. This guy now, right, is just hitting the indies and hitting them hard. Now he's just going all in. He's developed this fantastic persona where he considers himself better than everyone because he was in the majors. And he can do anything, right? Comes in, and he's like, and he's talking trash, and he goes after Nick Gage. And everyone's like, Nick Gage is gonna murder this guy. Well, he kind of did, but he also defeated Nick Gage to become the GCW World Champion. And then he became the internet champion, right? With Effie. He's in this fantastic feud with he's in this fantastic feud with Effie, right? Just absolutely fantastic feud with Effie, who is, I think, the textbook definition of an indie darling, right? Nobody hates Effie. Everybody loves Effie. So he's like, he's the top independent babyface, and he's feuding against him, and he had these great back and forths. And then he ends up in NWA doing a thing. He's in Beyond doing stuff. I think he even had a match at Warrior Wrestling earlier this year. I mean, it's been fantastic. It's been a fantastic year for him, and he's really grown into he's self-aware enough, and this is something that some wrestlers lack, but Matt Cardona here has enough self-awareness to know how he's perceived, so he decides to lean into it, and he's having a good time with it. Plus he's getting paid. He's getting paydays. Jesus. I think Matt Cardona was a wonderful surprise this year. Absolute surprise. Naughty, naughty, naughty. What do we got on the naughty list here? The House of Torture in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's shit. It's shit. You build me a faction and you say, we're creating a faction with Evil, Dick Togo, and Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Beam. And you're going to try and sell me that as some sort of prime real estate? Like this stable that we should all be feared, that should be feared? Fuck off. And the worst part, it's just been a drag. It's been a drag because of all the shenanigans and the interference in the show. It's been such a total drag throughout, and now they're consolidating everything. They brought poor Show on board with this. Show, who had and still has a very strong fan base. He's a fantastic wrestler. He had a great 2020. He had a very promising 2021 on top of him. Of course, he feuded with Shingo. Not this year, but last year. It's like, this kid, why are you saddling him with these losers when instead he should be showcasing everything that he's capable of doing? Because people naturally love the guy. Don't get your wires crossed. Anyone who tells you that the House of Torture is good is lying to you. The nice list. La, 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 la. AEW's mid-card. You know, we talk about Bryan Danielson. We talk about CM Punk and, you know, the Kenny Omega and Hangman Page and all that. You know, all the upper crust. But one thing that makes AEW so successful is that from top to bottom, no matter what part of the card you're watching on a Dynamite, on a Rampage, there's always people you're excited to see. There's always people that you're looking forward to seeing. Not just the top tier. Of course, you know, the top tier, the top guys, you're excited to see them. But the whole card, the wrestlers from top, even the prelim guys, you know, you're just in some form or another, you're excited to see the people that they put on because they are booked and built well. The other show, there's people that they try to stuff down your throats and you're like, you have to like this person. Remember Jackson Riker, everyone? You don't have a Jackson Riker in AEW where it's like, why are they putting this guy on TV again? No. Every person that gets called in, that gets put in a match, is what I'm trying to say, gets called in, gets put in a match, gets fantastic reactions from the audience every time. And that's the strength of AEW. That's why it's a fun show to watch, because you're not just watching just the top guys and you're like, oh, but the title situation, you know, everywhere, just people coming in that you're excited to see, that you're excited to watch. It's just as simple as that. And I don't think it's been a while since we've had a promotion on TV being able to give us a solid card from top to bottom with people that you're invested in one form or another. That's why, you know, that's why you have people, you know, detractors to AEW going, these fans will cheer anything. It's because you're supposed to cheer everything if everything is done right. It's just as simple as that. What else is on the naughty list? I wonder how many more of these I have to go. Jeez, it's late. Lily. Lily stunk. It was bad. There was nothing redeemable from the whole Lily shit. Okay. I'm not saying this too loud because I don't want the Fiend and Alexa Bliss stands to come after me. So it's just between us. The Lily stuff was irredeemable shit. The puppet would wink. It chased after Shayna Baszler with strobing lights. Okay. It was all bad. Irredeemably bad. I hope it never comes back. Let's go to the nice side. Yeah, we've got just a couple more left. If I can open the scrolls. Oi! How's this for something nice for the year? Time limit draws. I'm starting to put together my match of the year list, but I'm especially waiting for the December 29 Stardom show to pass before I commit to anything. But thinking back at the year that was, I realize that 4 matches that I really liked this year went to a time limit draw. Of course, Paige and Danielson, right? Omega and Danielson too. Utami versus Shuri. And Nakajima versus Keno at Noah the Best. All matches that I'm like, these are matches I really, really dug. And they're all time limit draws. So when people get bent out of shape over the time limit draw, I'm like, well, then are we in a resurgence right now? Well, I mean, I know it's different in Japan, but I'm talking about North America. In Japan, the time limit draw is not as, I wouldn't say regular, but it's more of a thing. You know, it's not as alien a concept as here, or necessarily perceived as poor booking. Because instantly the reaction when it happens in North American soil is, oh, well, it's shit booking, you know? But not necessarily shit booking. I wouldn't say it's shit booking. Especially when the matches are so fantastic. So are we seeing, and especially in North America, now that AEW has delivered 2 very strong time limit draw matches, are we seeing a resurgence on that level? Are the matches, or have they always been good? No, hang on. Or are we trying to divest ourselves of a perception of a time limit draw that was given to us by a certain company? But I'd even go back to WCW. WCW would do the time limit draw in not necessarily glorious fashion either. I think there's a mindset and a psychology when two wrestlers go into a time limit draw that has to create the drama to the very end. And I think Adam Page and Bryan Danielson did that magnificently a couple of weeks ago. I think if you haven't seen Nakajima versus Keno, you absolutely should. With Tommy versus Shuri, they had 2 time limit draws. They had 2. So, and yet we're sitting here and at the end of the year, these matches are going to end up on everyone's top 10 lists. And they're going to be time limit draws. So are we just developing a better understanding of what the time limit draw can represent and the drama it can create? That the non-finish might not be as poison as we think, if the path to get there was dramatic, and especially if it leads to something else. I ask you that. But that's the thing. It's like, I'm suddenly a fan of time limit draws. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? We're going to talk about the award-winning WWE Network on Peacock. As a lump of coal, as on the naughty list this year. And I mean, I'm Canadian. I still have the network. And it's cool because I'm a guy who likes the vault. I like to go back. I like to watch old things. I like to pull up some of the more historical stuff that they have. I couldn't imagine, with what I hear with how everything is set up on Peacock, I can't imagine navigating through that, or the censorship that is eventually going to befall it, right? Because it's owned by NBC Universal. Peacock is, right? So they, there's already stuff that has been censored, some Roddy Piper stuff, and it's just going to be completely derailed from what it was. And I feel bad for all of my American compatriots who have lost access to the network, because the network was really cool and it was well thought out and well put together. And all the content is there. I don't even know if all the content is there on Peacock yet. I don't think it is. Because Peacock is like, WWE, what does WWE represent to them outside of the live stuff? It's probably a blip, But I thought that kind of sucked this year. So we have left on the... Let me take down... I think that's... Okay, we got one more nice scroll after this one here. I think Pat McAfee has been... deserves to be on the nice list this year. There's no one... guys, gals, non-binary pals. There is no one on planet Earth who likes the WWE more than Pat McAfee. That guy, the way he reacts, the way he acts on his commentary, no one does it better. No one does it crazier than him. He's fantastic. He's absolutely fantastic. And he adds a breath of fresh air to brings something very fresh and organic that feels unscripted and off the wall to a WWE product which is overall very sterile in its presentation, because everything is very much in its own compartments, right? But what he does is fantastic. And he's legitimately a reason to watch SmackDown. I like it. I love Pat McAfee. He absolutely deserves it. Yeah, we should put all the belts on McAfee. Okay, we've got a couple of naughty nuggets left. Here's something on the naughty list. The exploding barbed wire death match from AEW earlier this year. Oh, they tried so hard, didn't they? What a disaster that was. When you think about it, and it's really funny, you know, because you get the little streamers, you know, the little sparklers popping up, and then Eddie Kingston coming in to cover Jon Moxley, and nothing goes off, and it's like, oh, everything is so cringe. Everything is so cringe. It was so funny. It was so funny. Like nothing went off like they wanted. If I'm Tony, do I do it again? I think I would. I think I would do it again. Just to prove that I can do it. Right? Because I think that's the only way that you wash it off. It's by doing it again. What a disaster that was. And I still vividly remember Eddie Kingston sheltering Jon Moxley, and I'm like, what is he doing? Nothing is happening. Nothing's going on. It was a splendid moment of the live aspect of wrestling. You know, it's like, what are you going to do? I honestly, I don't care. I don't care who got blamed for it, who passed the buck to whom. It doesn't matter. What a show. But it's really a shame because it was hyped up so much, and Tony Khan was out there promoting like a promoter should do, getting people really excited for it, really pumped for it. Hasn't been done in North American soil, and so on and so forth. FMW, you even have fucking Onita doing promos for it. And it's I think you do try again. On the nice list. All right, I'm trying to get the last scroll here, and I can't. I'll just take the sack off. There we go. The final part of the nice list 2021 goes to Masha Slamovich. I don't think there is a woman out there wrestling the independents who had a more dominant, fascinating, competitive, awesome year than Masha has, especially the second part of 2021. She has just been absolutely ablaze. Wrestling week after week after week, these incredibly competitive, strong style matches. She is nuts. Her match with Charlie Evans from Uncharted, Beyond Uncharted Territory, a couple of weeks ago, I want to say the Thanksgiving show. Don't quote me on that, but banana stuff. Just great stuff. A couple of weeks ago at Fight Forever, the pay-per-view that Beyond had, she had a great match with Kimberly, which is going to lead to a match, again, a rematch with Kimberly at the New Year's pay-per-view for Beyond. Heavy Lies the Crown, I can't remember the title, I apologize. She's been absolutely fantastic. She's one of the top independent workers out there running the scene. Sure, she also does stuff with Impact, but what she does on the indies is incomparable. She's so good. She's going to be a breakout. Won't be very long. I don't think she's going to stay with Impact for very long. I've got two lumps of coal left. We'll start with the left hand. The one on my left. I'll unwrap it. The Queen's Crown Tournament. On the naughty side. God damn, that was shit. How many years had we been, and I absolutely include myself in here, how how many years had we been asking for WWE to do a King of the Ring tournament for the women? And they finally do it. And we get insignificant, nothing, garbage matches from all of them. From top to bottom. The finals of the King of the Ring tournament lasted longer than the entirety of the Queen of the Ring tournament. And I love tournament wrestling. You guys know this. Zelina Vega versus Toni Storm. 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Liv Morgan versus Carmella. 1 minute, 40 seconds. Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler. 1 minute, 25 seconds. Doudrop versus Natalya. 3 minutes. Then, Zelina Vega versus Carmella. 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Shayna Baszler versus Doudrop. 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Then the finals couldn't even make it to 6 minutes. 5 minutes and 55. This is trash, man. Absolute trash. And it's irredeemable. And on top of that, you know when I was telling you earlier, when we were chit-chatting about Liv Morgan and how, if only there were opportunities to build up Liv Morgan and heat her up, my tournament would have gone as such in the brackets that they set up. Liv Morgan makes it to the finals in a scrappy underdog babyface kind of way. She goes through Carmella. She claws her way through the super experienced Toni Storm, but she makes it to the finals. In the meantime, on the bottom bracket, you have Shayna Baszler putting on a clinic and snapping their bodies back right till the finals. So what happens here? You have one dominant heel in the finals that could snap you in a second versus a plucky underdog. And WWE is able to do these plucky underdogs, and they love it too. Why couldn't they do it here? Then go with whatever finish you want. But Jesus, I don't understand why they didn't go any further with Liv on this one. Makes zero sense to me. No sense at all. It was a shit tournament. It was a shit tournament with shit results. Finals happened in a shit pay-per-view. Just absolute trash. Absolute garbage trash fire trash. And finally, it's the SCU thing, but apparently when I tossed it, it landed back into the naughty bag. So there, now it didn't. I had tossed it right back in. I thought so there you go. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was my naughty and nice list of wrestling things and events and people in 2021. Yeah. And then, that just happens it just so happens that it wraps up the weekly wrestling inspection. Did I just go 3 hours? I sure did. And I'm not done yet. No sirree. Folks, in just a few minutes, I am popping back onto a stream, a live stream. But you know what? I'm doing this for the members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. I want them to tell me what's on their naughty and nice list. So let's head on over there. Become a member of the channel, and you can join us in the live chat. You can join us in the Discord as well, in the live taking calls as well. It's going to be a good time. But you know what? I don't mind going 3 hours tonight. It was a fun 3 hours. I felt festive. It felt good. Despite the fact that, I don't know, by starting off was really rough. My God, man. Here we are. This is what we're doing tonight. Heading on over to do the post stream. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all so very, 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 very much for joining me tonight and for sticking out the whole way. For those of you who've been here, I really appreciate it. If you're liking this, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate it. If you're watching or listening to this on demand or listening on a podcast, a review, 5 stars, that kind of stuff would also be appreciated. Thank you all so very much. Have a very Merry Christmas. I hope you guys enjoy it tons. And I'll be back next week in one form or another. You're not done with me yet. Thank you all for hanging out tonight. That's not the right music. That's not the right music. Stop. This is what happens when you do it for 3 hours. You lose track of everything. The music's not playing. Warren, look, I'm going to wish you all a great rest of your evening. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Merry Christmas. We'll see you next time.